This is the second video in a three-part series of where I will describe how to play one character in each role. And for this video, we are covering Duelist, and the character I've picked is Hela. Hela is my favorite character because she is the most simple hit scan, but while also being simple, she's quite difficult to master because her mastery relies a lot on your aim mechanics. You need to be a very good, very consistent at hitting your shots to get value on Hela. Let's get started with Hela's kit. Her left click is Nightsword Thorn. It is a single cast direct hit scan that deals 70 damage to the body and has fall off, which begins at 18 meters and decreases to 80% at 30 meters. And you can headshot with her primary to deal a ton of damage. So you can deal up to 140 damage. So you can basically 2-tap 250 at any range on the map. And you can 2-tap 275 HP squishies at close to mid range up to 18 meters. So Hela's primary is really powerful. She is a very strong mid-range duelist right now. Her right click is Piercing Knight that shoots 4 projectiles that explode after a certain time. They explode after 3 seconds. So this is really useful to just pop on tanks to do a ton of extra damage to them, or you can use them on targets that are stationary. For example, you can stick it onto Namor's bubble, or you can stick it onto when Hulk is changing forms, and it just does a huge burst of damage that helps you combo into a kill onto them. The projectiles itself deal 35 damage when they stick, and they do even more once they explode. Next is her E, the Soul Drainer. This throws an orb that stuns people and deals 1 tick of damage. It stuns them for 0.3 seconds. Now, this stun is really powerful because it can cancel movement abilities. Like, for example, if you catch somebody in the middle of their movement ability and you stun them, it effectively cancels their movement ability. This this ability can also stun people out of a lot of different ultimates. For example, Scarlet Witch's ult, Doctor Strange's ult, anything that has a cast time or a wind up. If they get stunned before that wind up is over, it's effectively 100% cancelled. But you have to be careful. There are certain abilities and ults that grant the target CC immunity, so they cannot be stunned while that is happening. So you need to make sure to cast it during the wind up when they're not CC immune. But overall, this is a very powerful ability as well. Moving on to her shift, which is her primary and only form of mobility. It turns Hela into a crow, where she's immune to taking any form of damage or CC, and travels a set amount of distance, which is 18 meters, but you can choose to cancel it early. You can choose to cancel Astral Flock early whenever you want. And it also grants you an extra 25 bonus health. So this ability is not only good for movement to reposition yourself safely from one place or another, but it can be also used during fights where when you're dueling another DPS or like a close ranged flanker that's trying to flank you. You try to take a 1v1 against them. You can just bird on top of them or behind them to grant you the extra bonus HP, and if you time it right, you can dodge any of their burst attacks to survive the ordeal and outplay them in a 1v1. So it's a very powerful movement ability that lets Hela take aggressive angles and lets her get to safety in a pinch. Last but not least, her ultimate, Goddess of Death. turns Hela into a very large target in the air with a 1000 HP, and while she's in this form, she shoots explosive uh bombs from the sky and Astron Crows that deal a ton of damage, 840 damage, a lot of AoE, a lot of burst. Uh, Not my bad, it's 125. So you want to use this ult. It also lasts 10 seconds. You want to use this ult whenever the enemy team has no support ults, because if they do, then the enemy team will just pop a support ult to live through it and burn your Hela ult instantly, so you get no value off of it. So the way to get most value out of your Hela ult is to make sure that you're casting it in a location where it's hard for them to shoot you, but you have good LOS of their whole team. So Hela can be very strong. When the enemy team has to look at you, that means your team also gets the space and the advantage to push into them and to get any picks off of the targets that you make low by shooting at them. And not to mention, her passive is also just a regular glide like Magneto's that I covered in the last video. But she also has two team up abilities. She grants one to Namor, and she receives one from Venom. The one she receives from Venom makes her E more powerful. It grants her E slow and tendrils that slow people that try to escape. So if you have a Venom on your team, you can play Hela even more. Like, it gives you even more incentive to play Hela. I would say that Hela is already a very strong character in the meta, so you should try to play her anyway. Now, over the course of a match, the way you want to be playing Hela depends on what composition the enemy team has. If they have characters that can mark you or make your life a lot harder when you try to take off angles by yourself or you try to go on risky flanks like Angela, I would recommend playing safer and playing more with your team. But if they don't, and if you're relatively free and the enemy team does not have like any characters that can mark you, but they also do have like a Hela or long range characters that can just fight you at long range, then it's just a matter of taking better positions to engage and take those fights from. Better angles. Basically, you want to be a nuisance on this character. It is not worth it to play in your backline and just shoot tanks on Hela. You will get very minimal value. It's not an effective way to play this character. The way you want to be playing this character is to be aggressive, to take angles and to threaten and apply pressure on the enemy's backline and other squishies. Since Hela is very lethal at killing squishy targets very fast. Like it takes it takes her like 4 to 5 headshots to kill a tank, but the tank's just gonna get healed. Whereas it's just 2 headshots if you can line them up on a squishy. So if you can instantly eliminate a support from the fight, that basically pretty much grants your team a 1 fight. So Hela is very powerful at doing that. So you should always look to position very aggressively on this character as much as you can. But at the same time, if your supports are being dived, she's also very good at peeling. If your supports are being dived by like a Spider-Man or a Psylocke, you should help them out. You should shoot them, you should stun them. She's very good at dealing with those kind of characters. Overall, Hela is a pretty versatile and well-rounded duelist that I would recommend most people that have experience playing with shooters can get into. That's all for this video. Thank you.